Hi, my name is Rob Mortensen, and my group researched Johnson & Johnson as if it would be a good investment opportunity. First, we're going to start with an agenda, and first we'll have the introduction, which is a quick company overview. Then we have the analysis, which is a financial, marketing strategy, information technology, and ethical issues. And then we'll end with the conclusion, which has strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, as well as if investing is a good or bad choice. So just for a quick overview, Johnson & Johnson operates out of over 275 operating companies in over 60 different countries. They have over 128,000 employees, and they have 146 manufacturing facilities, which occupies 21.6 million square feet. And Johnson & Johnson is separated into 3 different business segments. There's the consumer segment, the pharmaceutical segment, and the medical devices segment. And they're known to be the first largest medical device and diagnostics company, the 5th largest biologics company, the 6th largest consumer health company, and the 8th largest pharmaceutical company.
Hi, my name is Scott Bartlett, and I'm going to be doing the financial part of our analysis for Johnson & Johnson. First of all, I would like to start off by saying that Johnson & Johnson historically has done very well financially. This is mainly due to them being able to instill trust with their customer base, as well as doing very well with public relations. An example of this is in 1982, when 12 people were killed because traces of cyanide were found in Tylenol bottles. Johnson & Johnson was quick to react to this, working with the FBI and the local police and trying to figure out what the heck happened. And they proceeded to rebrand Tylenol so fully that within 1 year of this disaster happening, they were able to bring Tylenol sales back right where they were, if not more than they were before. Second, I'd like to move on to the first graphs we have here from the past 5 years, which show how Johnson & Johnson has done for the past 5 years. First, we have net income here. You can see that they were steady around 12 to 13 billion for net income. But in 2010, something happened, and they shot back down closer to one of their top competitors, Novartis AG. Next, I would like to point out profit margin. Here I was able to do an industry analysis as well. As we can see, once again, in 2010, Johnson & Johnson just dropped down. So obviously something is going on here. Next. I'd like to show you return on assets. Once again, Johnson & Johnson has been ahead of their competitors in almost every area financially, but for some reason in 2010, right here, they're still going down, almost back down to where their industry and where the industry was in Novartis AG. Next, I'd like to point out the earnings per share value, which dropped down below their top competitor, Novartis AG, in 2010. Next, the price to earnings ratio, which, as you all know, the higher it is, the worse off it is because it's the price to earnings ratio. And as you can see here, Johnson & Johnson was lowest before 2010, but after 2010, they shot back up. And last but not least, the EV to EBITDA ratio, which, as well as the P to E ratio, is worse if it's higher. And as you can see in 2010, Johnson & Johnson shot back up. So obviously we have something going on in the past 5 years, specifically in 2010, where something severe happened that affected Johnson & Johnson financially. So I'd like to point out that in 2010, Johnson & Johnson had to do a number of recalls because they were not quick to react to a hip replacement product that they had out on the market. They started selling them in 2003, but because Johnson & Johnson was not quick to react to complaints they were receiving from customers as well as the FDA, they had a number of lawsuits pending against them in 2010, and this past year they had to pay out a couple $1 million to many people who were affected by this hip transplant thing. And this is just an example of how Johnson & Johnson was not, compared to the 1982 cyanide disaster, quick to react to potential business disaster, and it obviously affected them financially. Hopefully, moving on, Johnson & Johnson can recover from this, but It's very unknown right now how they're going to be able to come back from this, because we can see in the graphs it kind of steadying off, but we're not sure if they'll be able to bounce back from this. Thank you. That's my financial analysis.
I'm Kenny Altman. I did the market strategy for Johnson & Johnson. It consists of 3 parts. The first one is our foundation, which is built by credibility and aspiration. Credo, they call it, is their first responsibility. It's for the patients, nurses, doctors, the people, the kids, parents, anybody that uses their product. It's their first responsibility and long-term credibility. The second part is the aspiration. It's their optimistic future to improve products and stay keeping quality and make a difference. The second part is their strategic principles. The first one is broadly based in human health care. They're in 1/3 of the health markets around the world. So to stay active and part of the healthcare field is very important to them. The second part is managed for the long term. They look to make loyal brands, increase sharehold value and loyalty from their customers. The third part is decentralized management approach. They look to have their management know their patients so they can make improvements and adjust quality right in the field and know what's going on. And their values and their people, they look to have people that will respect their company, their credibility, their aspiration, and look to make an optimistic future for the company as well. The third part is their growth drivers. It consists of 4 parts you see right here and a 5th part as well. Creating value through innovation, anticipation, understanding what's going on in the health field and being able to change around that so they can improve their products and grow with the products that are advancing around them. Global reach with a local focus. Over 1 billion products are used daily. 55% of that is outside of the United States, so making sustainable and affordable health care for everybody is something they strive to do, which goes into excellence in execution to maintain and have the process of making the products, shipping the products, making the customers be able to have their products, as well as working with their management and the doctors to make the product is really a big part of how they plan on growing. Along with their leaders, they look to have their leaders be very optimistic, and they have the leader traits. If you go to the next part, these are the 5 leadership imperatives: connect, shape, lead, and deliver. These are all qualities they look for their leaders to have. This is very important to them because they like to lead and they like to be at top of their market, so they look for leaders in every department: pharmaceuticals, their medical devices, and their consumer products to have these qualities. If you go to the next slide, I'll talk about information technology. A big part in 2009 for Johnson & Johnson was RedScript Ventures. It's a way that they look to invest into new companies. They've been investing since the 1960s, and they needed a new way to invest into companies. The low-hanging fruit has already been addressed. A lot of health fields are advancing, but to come up with new technology is really hard. So this is one of the reasons they were driven to make RedScript Ventures. They needed new things to invest in. They're looking for small and high-risk startups with regenerative medicines and treatments. This is for purposes, the regenerative medicines is for diabetes, sleep apnea, and they're looking for treatments in anything in the health field. The last part is the business plan for RedScript Venture was to integrate 1 business per year, which they have been doing. They're investing in multiple companies per year, but right now they are adding 1 business per year, so it has been a good opportunity and a good outcome for them to invest in RedScript Ventures.
Hi, my name is Joanna Nagel, and I'll be walking you through the ethical issues of Johnson & Johnson. As Scott said before, in 2010 there was a major product recall. Not only did it hit hip replacements, but it also hit major medications. The subcompany McNeil, which involves Tylenol, Motrin, Benadryl, they had a ton of problems. 43 products in 12 countries, which is major for a recall, especially in something that people use every day. The FDA cited over 20 manufacturing problems, and that included major dust and grime in their factory, as well as problems with mixing chemicals in their medication. There was a possible phantom recall, which means that Johnson & Johnson had clients try to buy all of their medication instead of recalling it so they didn't have to have the whole scare and all the financial problems that it did.
I'm Chloe and I'll take you through the SWOT analysis. We're going to start with the strengths. Johnson & Johnson is a huge company. They're worldwide. Last year they were up 13% in Russia, Brazil, India, and China, which are huge pharmaceutical markets. They're also introducing 6 new products to Japan, which is the world's second largest pharmaceutical market. They have a wide range of products from small things such as dental floss all the way up to hip replacements. And they also have AAA credit rating, which is huge. They can get any loan at any time to start any small project. They have $114 billion in circulation cash at any time. They also focus on having only a few people in management, and they're there for long-lasting time. Since opening in 1886, they've only had 8 CEOs, and they're also a very diverse company. Now we're going to move on to weaknesses. Some of the weaknesses is internationally, other places in the world can make things cheaper. So they're competing with people in China to make cheaper knockoff Band-Aid, knockoff aspirin, things of that kind. And then they have low moral standard within the company. There have been a few cases where they have sold, recipes and things for pharmaceutical medications to other companies. Also, and there's been a reduction in the market for demand of some lower-end products. Now we move on to opportunities. So Johnson & Johnson has taken it upon themselves to start a new program called Earthbirds, and they look at the process from beginning to end, every aspect in between, and they figure out how to make it more economical and earth-friendly. They also are relying on new rules that when patents run out, other companies can't pick them up because some companies are hovering, waiting to pick them up. Also, new opportunities is healthcare is growing every day, new things are being invented, and new products are there for Johnson & Johnson to create. And now we're going to move on to threats. They're really strong global competitors. It's easy to make knockoffs of aspirin at that kind and sell them cheaper. Johnson & Johnson does have a good name going for them, so that's what helps. And then they have this new contract they signed with lead, green building standards, which anytime they want to build a new factory, shipping place, they have to have like gold leaf standard, as like our data center has. It has to be completely economical and green and very time consuming and costly. And another threat is new technology is taking over every day, and Johnson & Johnson has to keep up, and some of the old methods are being pushed out. So I have
To conclude, we would not invest. This is because Johnson & Johnson has been facing some serious issues lately. After the 2010 recalls, they have not been able to step up to the previous points at which they are operating at. Also, because of the 2010 recalls, they have hundreds, if not more, to come out, lawsuits that are going to be pending and which will greatly affect the credibility and profitability